We're coming off the back of last night's AEW Dynamite Homecoming special, which means it's time for another WrestlePlanet news update, as top UFC fighters could be heading to AEW. The debut of several free agents were teased on last night's Dynamite. And did Cody Rhodes just retire from wrestling? All that and more coming up in today's video, but first... Unfortunately, this is the second video in a row that opens with news of a wrestling legend passing away, as it has been revealed that Bobby Eaton, one half of the legendary tag team the Midnight Express, has passed away on Wednesday at the age of 62. His sister Debbie confirmed the news on Facebook, although the cause of death is currently unknown. The Midnight Express were pioneers of tag team wrestling, with Eaton originally teaming with Dennis Condrey and later Stan Lane. They were managed by Jim Cornette in the Territory days, and are known for their long-running rivalry with babyface tag team the Rock and Roll Express. This is a sad loss, and we send our thoughts out to his family and friends. Now let's get to our first story from last night's AEW Dynamite, as we found out what the next labor of Jericho will be. Chris Jericho managed to overcome the challenge of debuting Juventud Guerrera on his quest to get a match with MJF. Guerrera and Jericho have a long history together, going all the way back to the 90s, most famously working as part of the WCW Cruiserweight division. As per the stipulation, Jericho had to win using a top rope move, and he ended up putting his opponent out with a flying Judas effect. Jericho and Juventud were quickly attacked by the Pinnacle's Wardlow after the match, before MJF announced the next challenge. In order for Jericho to get his hands on MJF, he must now get past Wardlow next week. So far, Jericho has overcame Shawn Spears, Nick Gage, and now Juventud Guerrera to get this far, with one last step to go. A new NWA Women's World Championship #1 contender was also crowned on last night's Dynamite, as legit Layla Hirsch saw off the challenge of the Bunny. The new contender was then confronted by the NWA Women's Champion Camille after the match, which showed off the huge size difference between the two competitors. The match will take place on the upcoming NWA Empower pay-per-view, which will be an all-female event, and the winner of the match will then defend their title the next night at the NWA 23rd anniversary show. This will be Hirsch's first appearance in the National Wrestling Alliance, who is on a 3-match win streak in AEW, winning 14 out of her last 15 in the promotion. The face-off on Dynamite also marks the AEW debut of Camille, who hopefully we see more of going forward. Elsewhere on the show, Hangman Page informed the Dark Order that they were going their separate ways, but insisted they will remain friends. Later in the night, Hangman was attacked by the Elite despite the attempted save from Frankie Kazarian. Kenny Omega then took Page out with the AEW World Title belt. It was then later revealed that following his victory over the Blade, Christian Cage is the new #1 contender for the AEW World Championship after picking up 8 consecutive wins with no losses. This seems to confirm recent reports that Hangman has been pulled from the main event of All Out, which was the original plan behind the scenes. It appears that the main event will instead see Christian Cage take on Kenny Omega, unless it happens on a Dynamite beforehand. This will be Christian's first ever AEW World Title match, and his first title match in general since February 2014, where he competed in the WWE World Heavyweight Title Elimination Chamber match in a losing effort. And before we continue with the video, I just want to quickly mention that we now have an official WrestlePlanet Pro Wrestling Tease page. I have one design up there so far, which I've named WrestlePlanet Metal, which sees a death metal style WrestlePlanet logo on the front with a nod to the 2011 Summer of Punk on the back. You can get the t-shirt now from prowrestlingtees.com/WrestlePlanet, and if you use the code SUMMERTIME as one word, you will save 20%, and that offer ends on August 7th. That's prowrestlingtees.com/WrestlePlanet using code SUMMERTIME for 20% off. A few weeks ago, founder and owner of the American Top Team MMA gym, Dan Lambert, appeared in the crowd of AEW Dynamite alongside UFC double champion Amanda Nunes and the UFC BMF champion Jorge Masvidal. Lambert then ended up in the ring to cut a promo on All Elite Wrestling before being taken out by Lance Archer, led by Jake the Snake Roberts. On Dynamite last night, Lambert appeared in a pre-taped promo from his gym to state that he hasn't forgotten about the assault, and confirmed he will be at the show next week and is bringing backup from his friends. American Top Team is one of the most successful MMA gyms in the world and trains fighters such as Dustin Poirier, who is coming off back-to-back victories over notorious Conor McGregor. Jorge Masvidal, Amanda Nunes, and Tyrone Woodley are just a few top MMA fighters the gym houses. It'll be interesting to see where this angle goes, and it could get a lot of eyes on the AEW product depending on the star power Lambert brings with him to Dynamite next week. Next up, the Elite held a backstage segment on the show which seemed to be littered with Easter eggs and teases for potential upcoming debuts. The segment saw the Elite hanging out backstage next to a basketball hoop. Carl Anderson was spinning a basketball on his finger to begin with the rest of the Elite counting to 2012, a reference to Anderson's appearance in New Japan's G1 tournament that year. The Good Brothers then accepted the Dark Order's challenge for the Impact Tag Team titles next week, this whilst Doc Gallows was wearing a Ric Flair robe, with Anderson wearing a Bollywood Boys shirt next to him. The Young Bucks then asked if there was no one else in the AEW tag division, claiming to have ran through the entire roster. During the segment, Mac Jackson was wearing a Hawaiian shirt, a potential reference to Bray Wyatt, though I'm not 100% sure on that one. Kenny Omega then cut a promo on Hangman Page, this whilst wearing a Cookie Monster t-shirt, a clear reference to CM Punk. Punk has often joked that the CM in his name stands for Cookie Monster, admitting that he's heard the question that many times that he changes what it means every time he's asked. The Bucks then posted a photo of the group after the segment with the caption, "What time is it?" a reference to the Chicago Bulls Michael Jordan era team, where they would say "What time is it? Game time" before their matches, and hopefully soon it'll be clobbering time. Next up, we're moving away from Dynamite for some other AEW news, as we have an update on the Max Caster incident from this week's episode of AEW Dark. For those that missed yesterday's video where we discussed the story, Max Caster, who is one half of the Acclaimed tag team, had his rap edited out of the show after backlash from fans. The rap made reference to Olympian Simone Biles' mental health issues, as well as the Duke Lacrosse sexual assault accusations, which is a very sensitive topic in the North Carolina area. The edited version of the show now cuts straight to the bell, skipping all entrances for the 8-man tag match the Acclaimed took part in. AEW President Tony Khan has slammed Max Caster and his rap, stating that he had no knowledge of the incident when the taping occurred last week, and he told Busted Open Radio, "Last night on Dark, Max Caster's rap was terrible. I was not out there in the moment when he did it. It was not during Dynamite, I was out back when Max said this rap. I had not heard it until last night, truthfully. In the editing process, it should have been caught. We deleted the episode and reposted it with that edited out, but it shouldn't have aired." Khan then revealed he is taking a more direct role in the editing of AEW Dark. There is no word on the internal punishment for Caster within AEW, although it has been revealed that he has been pulled from an upcoming Beyond Wrestling event. Next, let's talk about what may well be my favourite match of the year so far, where in the main event of Dynamite, Malachi Black made his AEW in-ring debut taking on Cody Rhodes. The match was simple but effective, showing off strong psychology as well as hard-hitting action, with Black winning in just under 5 minutes with a stiff-looking black mass. Interestingly, after the match, Cody Rhodes then seemed to retire from wrestling following the loss, saying that he has received outside opportunities before admitting that there had been infighting amongst the EVPs of AEW, and took to the mic to say, "Believe it or not, folks, 3 years ago they were laughing at us when we said we were going to be a revolution. And now it's like commonplace that this is destination viewing. Hell, this isn't an alternative, we're competition. We set this table and now maybe some new people can eat. For 3 years my face has been on everything. I've got to carry the banner and I've been so damn lucky." And yeah, maybe some outside interest came my way, maybe some infighting amongst EVPs. The truth is, what those guys don't know, let me let you know right now, I love them very deeply and I will forever be tethered to them. Cody went to take off his boot ready to leave it in the ring, which is a time-honored tradition when retiring from wrestling, but then he was attacked from behind by Malachi Black with a crutch. Black then stood over him as the show went off the air. This leaves the question as to whether Cody is really gone or not, and personally I think it seems unlikely, and the attack is probably to set up another match somewhere down the line, but who knows. For now, Cody is scheduled to film the second season of the Go Big Show, which is a talent show that airs on TBS. Cody took part in the first series of the show as a judge and will be taking part in the second as well in the same role. I guess time will tell if Cody returns after he's done with that. For the first season of the Go Big Show, Cody was also written off of television. If you remember when Brody Lee won the AEW TNT Championship and then Cody was taken out in a stretcher, that was when they were filming. But what did you think of last night's homecoming edition of AEW Dynamite? Let me know in the comments down below. And before you go, why not check out my video where I discuss 5 ways that AEW could book the debut of CM Punk.